Hello. So, oh my gosh, the level of resistance to even get to this reading should be studied. Truly, like, I literally almost kind of had to force myself to sit here and do this, which I'm not a fan of. I don't generally do that. But I pulled, I'm using my little bowl to pick the order. And I picked your profile on, was it Friday? When was I put out the first two readings? Was that Thursday? Wednesday or Thursday? Anyway, days ago. So no, it wasn't just anyway. What day is this? Anyway, and it was just like I couldn't I couldn't get myself to sit here to do this. Then I started feeling really insecure about the intro that I had made, and I'm not even including it on this reading. It's on the 3 5 and 1 4. It's like literally 8 minutes, 8.5 minutes long, and I'm like, what was I even saying for 8.5 minutes? So I'm scratching that. For the rest of the readings, not just your reading, but we only need one oracle card. But anyways, so man, I just like started feeling insecure about that. So that played into the resistance thing. When I could have just decided right away to just scratch that. Okay, I'm not going to put it in there. But it was like this mental gymnastics thing started happening, like, why don't I put it in there? I should push past, any type of insecurity and, like, and then also too, I needed to finish some contract work that I do so I can get a paycheck, and that made it easier to resist sitting down to do this reading because I had something else to do, right? Anyway, it's just so interesting. And I 100% believe, and this is why I share these things with you guys, because I 100% believe that anything that starts showing up for me, especially when I have an intention to sit down and do these readings, is a message for you too. So maybe you're feeling just, some push and pull, some, resistance to certain areas of your life, or expressing certain things, or, like I said, I already had that intro made with the intention of putting it at the beginning of each reading. And instead of just deciding, because I'm the one that gets to decide, right? I'm the one that's putting these together. So I get to decide when I do them, how I do them, if there's an intro or not. Do I even need an intro? Probably not. But, like, we just kind of, it's so easy to just get stuck up in our heads, and allow that to just kind of carry us away. This says, what you want wants you. I love that attraction thing. There's a spiral up here. And it always like reminds me of that. What is that saying? Like, don't spiral, evolve. Because this does look like it's actually going up in perspective. Even to going for the things that you want. I meant to go through these. When I was doing the other readings, there were some cards that were reversed in the deck, and I don't it's just so random. Like, I don't shuffle reversals like that. I don't shuffle reversals into the deck, so I don't even know how. I should leave them, but my little OCD, I can't. I cannot do that. especially like after I'm aware of it. No, like, it makes my teeth hurt. Okay, just random. But anyway, it's like one of those things, right? Where it's like, if it's something that just keeps coming to your mind, it keeps showing up around you too. Because that's how I feel, like, even about doing these tarot readings. Like, I know it's time to do the next batch or whatever of tarot readings when just the energy keeps showing up around me. I keep thinking about it. It just kind of keeps like keeps tapping me, in the head, like, hello, you're gonna do that, you're gonna do that. I start thinking about, the tarot deck and the oracle deck that I want to use, and just start like kind of tuning into that energy. But my point in saying that though is, if there's something that keeps showing up around you in your consciousness and your energy, your aura, then clearly it's like, let me in, like, what you want wants you. We have the Queen of Wands. We have the Queen of Swords in reverse. See, I will take cards in the reverse if they come out. Like if they flip over in the reverse when they come out, but I just don't shuffle them that way into. Okay, there we go. That didn't take very long. Nine of Swords at the bottom of the deck, the Wheel of Fortune, Five of Pentacles, King of Swords. Okay. All right, let me just make sure everything is in frame, and then we'll get on to your reading. Okay, let's possibly... I love this deck, this oracle deck, but like the messages are kind of long. I don't want to like bore you by reading for 5 minutes. Not that you would be bored, of course, but let's just see what the first page says. It says, do you dare to believe that what you want is also wanting you? The genuine desires of your heart are the sacred purpose of the soul, swathed in pleasure. Yet, if you have been shamed, judged for, made to feel guilty over, or denied your natural desires or pleasures in any way, you may have developed a very tricky and complicated relationship with your yearnings of your heart. We often learn to distrust our own desires and come to believe that they are something to be overcome or avoided. We may even try to want second best, disbelieving that we are worthy of our first choice, of what we really genuinely want and would fulfill us deeply. Perhaps we have conditioned ourselves to believe that getting what we want is for others, not for us. Yeah, I should have been holding this the whole time. I hope it focuses. This oracle comes with a healing message for you. First, trust in what you truly want, not the substitutions. Sorry, I thought it like stopped recording. Okay. Not the substitutions and make do's, but what would truly bring a sense of passionate, playful purpose and fulfillment to your life. You might not know anything more than I want to sing, or I want to write, or I want to help animals, or I want to paint. Start with what you know and hold it in your heart as you do the healing process below. If you genuinely do not know what your heart wants, you will very much enjoy the process of exploring your desires by making gentle and persistent inquiries of yourself. Ask yourself what it is that truly moves you. Give this matter consistent attention without forcing a response. Your answers may come in a sudden flood or slowly over time. The healing process, it says, repeat this statement 3 times with feeling, okay? feeling is emphasized. Can you see that? Oh, I didn't even. Okay. Um, what I want wants me, and I am open, willing, and capable to receive it through unconditional love now. I'll repeat it. Actually, I'll just say it 2 more times. We can do it together. What I want wants me, and I am open, willing, and capable to receive it through unconditional love now. What I want wants me, and I am open, willing, and capable to receive it through unconditional love now. I love that. And of course, I mean, I feel, as always, all of the cards speak to this as well. So we start with the Queen of Wands. I love that we have two queens on the table because this whole thing is very much about you. And queens are when we master the energy of the suit within ourselves. We have to recognize it, we have to practice it, we have to understand it, right? And then when we move on to the king, that's when we can share it with other people. We can be an authority, we can, lead, right? Because that's generally what kings do. They have a kingdom that they oversee. People look to them for guidance and leadership. So, wands are fire. Fire is taking action. It's the motivation behind the actions that we take. It's creativity and passion. I keep hearing creation too in my head. But it's the actions that we take towards creating something, towards that creation. How are we expressing our creativity? What actions are we taking towards our passions, right? And even what's motivation behind those things? And I also see wands as being information because that's what we get by trying things. We learn what works, we learn what doesn't, what fits, what doesn't fit, right? Like, what do we want to do? What don't we want to do? It's all information that we pick up along the way. But the best way to get that information is by trying things. It's one thing to think about it, and it's one thing to be up in your head and imagining like the possibilities and, trying to kind of, connect dots, but it's another thing to literally try it. So, with the Queen of Wands, I hope we can. I think what I'm also going to do in your guys' reading, because I usually have the table as being the screen, and I have me like in this little corner up here. I think I'm going to flip it because that way I can I can show you here and I can at least see if you can see what this card is. So thank you. Already through doing your guys' reading, there's already been like epiphanies. So no doubt too, just breakthroughs, even just trying things differently for you guys, like no doubt that's got to be happening in your life. Okay, so we have which side? We have the Queen of Wands. And we can see that she's holding this little flame. I keep wanting to call it a nymph. I'm not sure if that's proper. But she's holding this flame in her hand. And, there's this campfire here. But it's almost like there's this level of control for one. Maybe even understanding again too, like what do you want to create? Like what is it that you want to bring into creation? What is it that you want to hold in your hands? I love that her crown, there's that gem that's literally right between her third eye and her crown. So again, even, this sense of epiphanies, breakthroughs, downloads. She could even be meditating. It could even be a matter of getting quiet enough. And even like this card was even talking about, because it's like if you don't actually know what your heart desires. Like you might have an idea, and maybe, like you haven't really spent a lot of time sitting with that and really feeling into what is that? And maybe it's because you're like, I don't even know how I would bring that into my reality, or like what would I do with that if I did figure it out. Well, it's don't like don't even worry about that, right? That's like when we start thinking too far ahead, it's too much. It's overwhelming. It's too much. Just, it's like even this whole posture of like sitting in meditation and being present, even, like feeling the warmth, like, sitting. I'm not a fan of sitting for meditation. I usually lay down. I don't know. I feel like I'm just I can easily relax that way. But even just sitting there like with your hands like this, right? And just feeling the warmth there. Like what flame, what spark could you get started? And again, like I said with Queens, I know we're still on the first card. We have 5 more to go. Actually, 6, possibly more. But Queens are, again, it's recognizing the energy within ourselves. Also, the Queen of Wands is very confident. It's fire, right? Like I'm thinking flamboyant, but just, expressive. But it's like, like authentically expressing yourself. You don't have to be flamboyant in the sense of, you know, who's flamboyant? Like I'm trying to think, like Dolly Parton or something. It doesn't have to be like that, but just trusting yourself for one, knowing in your heart, right? Like what it is that you desire, getting clear on that creation. And then we have it paired with the Two of Pentacles, which is interesting because now we're bringing in value and worth. It's interesting because worth has been a very big conversation that I've been having with a 4-6. Actually, shouts out to you. Um, because Pentacles have to do with money, for one. Of course, it's like, the physical or digital, whatever, money, but it's the things that we put value on, the things that we deem to be worthy, which could also be ourselves. Um, it's also our physical possessions. It's anything that you can touch, anything in the physical 3D. It's also our body, right? Like our physical vessel that we are occupying in this lifetime. So it could be our health. And the Two of Pentacles is usually about balancing. Um, it's interesting. Like my computer keeps dimming, which I don't remember happening a lot before. And I have to like almost keep like, I have to keep touching the mouse just to make sure that it doesn't actually go away. So it could even be like this thing about like having to like keep a plate spinning is like what's coming to my mind. So anyway, the Two of Pentacles is usually about juggling responsibilities, but it's also about like creating balance. We can see that in this card there's one person, but it looks like their focus I have to get used to this now. It looks like their focus is on two different pentacles. I feel like, manifesting generators are good at this type of energy. Just multi like a lot of I feel like, of course, um not to take away from the other energy sources, but I feel like manifesting generators, they usually do have a lot of irons in the fire, a lot on their plate. Maybe generators too, but manifesting generators for sure. But if you are not an energy being meaning your sacral is not defined. This can be exhausting. And it could also be the reason that would like slow you up on really honing in on what it is you want to focus on. Like if your attention is being drawn to too many things, if you can't settle on a value, settle on a worth, settle on a responsibility, it could even be, that you have a lot going on and maybe you feel like you can't just focus on one thing. But, this is one person and it's like their energy is being split between two different things. And then we have the Queen of Swords in the reverse with the Ten of Wands. So the Queen of Swords upright. Look how she's like holding on to the Ace of Swords. Swords have to do with our mind, our thoughts, how we communicate, our ideas, inspiration, truth and honesty also, but like divine truth, like objective truth, basically, right? That's what I mean by divine truth, because it's absent of really any emotion. It's literally what is true and what is not. And when we start putting feeling into that, it could become an opinion. So I also see swords as being the suit of ego, because that's generally where we hear our ego is in our minds. I mean, of course, it can live in our body too, but we usually hear it in our mind. And our ego is created by the stories that we attach to feelings, to experiences, to circumstances, whether they're our stories or not. It could be, somebody told you you were a certain way, like it said in that book, right? You felt judged or not seen in some capacity, and you took it on as part of your identity and personality and whatever. Um, Also, whether they're true or not, right? Like somebody could have said something to you, oh, you're this way, and you took it to be true because maybe they were an authority figure to you in some capacity. But no doubt, if you were to sit down now and be like, is that actually something that I believe about myself? I have no doubt you would be like, no, that's not a truth that I believe about myself. But it does become the reasons why we do and don't do certain things. So she's holding on to this Ace of Swords. I mean, literally hanging on to it, right? There's this light or this orb at the top of it. Interestingly enough, when we start with a Page of Swords, this orb is above their head. It's not even touching the sword yet. So this is at least closer. This is at least like touching the sword in the sense that there is some truth that you are starting to discover here. However, I just remembered this came out in the reverse. I keep hearing you're not there yet. Because again, right, with queens, it's mastering the energy of the suit within ourselves, recognizing the energy of the suit within ourselves, And if swords have to do with our thoughts, and that means there's some level of mastering your thoughts that it's not there yet. There's still something in there that, whether it's a story, a circumstance, an experience, whatever it is, that is still a burden to you. Because the 10 of Wands is all about burden. It's a 10 though, so there's this level of completion. Speaking of completion, we have the Death card after it. So, okay. What a journey. Because, I mean, we are starting with the Queen of Wands about what do we want to create? What is the thing that you want to because like okay, sorry. I somehow have to put in words like what is like being dropped in. Because we have this campfire here, right? So it's like there's already something going. There's already an idea, there's already some action that you've taken, there's already something that is there. But now, like, you know, they're creating this from that campfire, they are creating a completely not different because it's still fire, but there is some sort of sentience keeps coming to mind, but like putting life into something. And there might just be at least two, maybe different focuses. Is that a word? Focuses? Focus? Um, with the Two of Pentacles. Just even like weighing two different ways to go about things, like the value that you put on multiple different things, whatever that is, right? And with the Queen of Swords being in the reverse, it's the level of mastery isn't there yet. And again, like I said, there could just be something that mentally it's either not worked itself out yet, you don't have all the information for yet, or it's something that has been or is a burden. Again, you know, wands, communication, action, creativity. I see the 10 of Wands as being like all of those lessons that you picked up along the way. All that information, and it can be a burden. And even, you know, like sifting through those things. I mean, with your sixth line, depending on where you are, because that sixth line has a 3-tiered process, right? The first 30 years, you're living as a third line, a lot of trial and error, making and breaking bonds. I just had to like touch the mouse again. I swear I haven't had to do that many times in the other readings, so that's just kind of interesting. But then, you know, from the time that you have your Saturn return until your 50s, you're on the roof and you're being more observant and you are unpacking these experiences and organizing them again. What stays and what goes? What's yours and what's not? So it is about offloading some of that baggage, some of that burden. And then, of course, when you come off of the roof, it's being in that role model of like sharing your experience with your community, right? With the fourth line. I feel like what's also interesting here too is that it's almost like these wands can be what created this fire, which is really effing cool, because I mean you would be creating something based off of your experience. Like, amazing. This could be a whole back and forth with yourself. Because again, I think I said it before, but it's like struggling with a self-worth thing. This, these two different, it's like the devil and the angel thing on your shoulders, or whatever, like to encompass like two different things. Like there's two different things that are happening where it's like, yes, this is something that I desire. This is something that I again keep thinking about. It keeps showing up in my aura. It keeps, I have this feeling, whatever it is. But then there's that other side of you, ego, probably, of course, hello, that's like, girl, like, who do you think you are, right? Like, nobody cares. Nobody's gonna listen to you. Nobody's, mm, that's not true. That's not true. The ego lies. And it does that, right, to keep us safe and comfortable so that we don't get our feelings hurt. We don't feel rejected again. We don't have to be judged by others. So we're just going to do it ourselves. But we also know that's not what we even want to do, because this energy keeps showing up. It keeps, right? Like it just keeps, like a woodpecker, right? Just keep showing up around you. And that's real. That's the truth. Not anything that tells you, anything that says we aren't worth it, we don't deserve. That is such a lie. I'm like getting all tense because I do it too. I did this whole week. It's been a mess. It's been a roller coaster. I think I said it in the intro that you're never going to see anyway. But it's like being in pieces and waiting to like be put back together. And I feel like part of the healing journey is that is almost like a constant where you feel put back together for a while, and then boom, something happens and everything is taken apart again. And you're like, okay, this uncomfy feeling again. It doesn't necessarily get easier, but at least you recognize what's happening, right? And I keep telling myself to make like a raft and float through it, like not get stuck in any one energy, because nothing is settled yet, right? So don't get stuck anywhere. But again, what stays, what goes, what's changed, what no longer fits in this puzzle, what does now fit in this puzzle, right? And we have the death card here. So we have a 10 of wands. Tens are completion. We have the death card, which is literally the end of the cycle. I always say with a death card, every new beginning disguises itself as an end. And the death card says that a cycle, a behavior, a way of being, a pattern, whatever it is, a way of thinking, I might have already said, but even like the way that you're approaching something, whatever it is, it has to end. It's got to stop in order for something new to come in, or for like a new pattern to create itself, or because it's kind of like one of those things of like, if we only know what we know, right? And a lot of our behaviors are because they worked for us in the past, but it's not working anymore. And it's not like that way, whatever it was, is not going to get us to the next level. That was survival. That was, just making an impulsive decision to just, settle something or just get to the next step or whatever. But like now we're thinking big stuff. We're thinking long term here. So something truly has to end. It even feels like in this card, it feels like this invitation to go into the unknown. Even too, like with meditation, I mean, because truly when you're meditating, it's like getting getting out of our heads, like literally floating around in space. And just the way that this figure, like they're kind of opening their cloak, but it's like opening the veil, and even like their hand right here, it feels like an invitation. There's also like this skull underground. Which is interesting because there's also this thing about like this regeneration from death. Like I'm thinking like a wildfire, or when they do like controlled burns and stuff, like um the whole purpose of that, like you literally set fire to all of the dead stuff. And what that does is that it germinates, it whatever, like the sulfur and whatever chemical compounds are in burnt plant material, it fertilizes the ground. And sure as shit, if the next season things aren't regrowing where it was just total blackness from being burnt, right? But also, it's interesting because it's paired with the Tower card. And the Tower card is change. It could even be sudden. Like I keep thinking Uranus. For some reason, I'm not sure if the Tower card is associated with Uranus. I don't think so. I think it's Mars or Scorpio or something. But it can be just like that. But also, I was talking about this going in this darkness or the unknown here, and that can just feel uncomfortable. It could even, maybe the fear is like the uncertainty or the instability, because I mean this tree is sitting on this branch, right? I mean that's not all that stable. And even there's already somebody that's let go, there's somebody still holding on. It's literally like I keep kind of getting this feeling about um a roller coaster. It's like the only way out is in type of thing, but like once you go in there, it's like one of those fun houses or whatever they're called, that's not really like a ton of fun. It's like, there's mirrors that disorient you, or just is it disorient, or um you know they like make you shorter, taller, fatter, skinnier, like um there's always that like room of mirrors or hall of mirrors, and then there's always that walkway that's just like, again, kind of unpredictable. um but if that's where like the resistance is coming from, it's like you're being invited to go exactly towards exactly what you fear, whatever that is. I mean, it can be different for literally everybody, but it truly is the way out, though. I think it's also one of those knowings that it is going to, it's going to take a lot out of you. Having to face yourself, face those demons. It's not easy. And not everybody will do it. At least not all the way. I think, that's what I was saying before about making like a float and making like a raft and floating. I think is what I said. Because you don't want to get stuck, at least not for long. I mean, of course, like, if you get quote unquote stuck in an area, you need to be there for whatever reason, but it's allowing yourself to remain open and allowing yourself to be carried on to the next thing, the next mirror, whatever it is. The Nine of Swords, I mean, look how this is not comfortable. The Nine of Swords is about anxiety, fears, doubts. This is where your sense of worth is being held up. And whatever this is. And what's amazing is that behind it is a Wheel of Fortune. Oh, I'm like, why can't I all of a sudden figure out which way to put this? I love that there's even a spiral in this, a little bit like there is in the Oracle card. The Wheel of Fortune is about things changing. Good, bad, otherwise. It's just change. It's moving things forward too. I always see the Wheel of Fortune as being a good card. I don't care where it shows up. But something is definitely, and especially with it coming after the Nine of Swords, there's this movement beyond whatever this Nine of Swords is. We have the Five of Pentacles behind it. Again, worth, lack thereof, scarcity. Being left out in the cold. Where does that come from? It's interesting that it's like, this Wheel of Fortune is between these two kind of more difficult, vibey kind of cards. But then after that is the King of Swords in the upright. So remember I was saying that queens are when we master the energy within ourselves. There's clearly a mastering here going on that was stuck in the Queen of Swords. So you figured it out, you mastered it. They're all the way through that maze now. We can see that the orb has now reached his crown. There's a compass where, his heart, technically, where they usually illustrate our heart to be. So even being guided by your heart, so head and heart, right? There's this contract here. So it's almost even like coming into your purpose. If you believe in soul contracts, right? Which I love. I love that. Seven of Pentacles. This is, even the imagery of making bread here, but like there's an abundance of mastering a craft. Even though, the Eight of Pentacles is the one that's usually talking about mastering a craft. The Seven of Pentacles is usually about the fruits of your labor. Benefiting from the fruits of your labor though, right? This is having an abundance of material, for one, resources, because they have the materials and resources to make this many loaves of bread. right? They also have the oven. They have everything that they need. I love that. I love this whole fucking thing. This whole thing. And I love that you allowed me to read your cards. I'm going to leave it there. Thank you so much. I will talk to you soon. Bye.